Hello everybody and welcome back to the Jessie102 channel. How are you? How was your day? Tell me everything. Sounds incredible. Anyways, as you probably know, the whole planet is in a, let's say, special situation. And because of that special situation, there are new vaccines on the market that most people never have heard before. And one of my subscribers, Catherine, she asked me if I could make a video explaining the new COVID vaccines, how they work, and all of that stuff. And if you guys ask me something, I'll do my best to do so. So welcome to part 3 of the vaccine series, the new COVID-19 vaccines. Before we start the video itself, I just wanted to say the top link in the description is a link to my Discord server. And I'm not very experienced regarding Discord, so there will be changes, but you can connect there with me and other people. And if you are experienced regarding Discord, just send me a message. I really could use some help. And now let's just jump right in, shall we? At the moment, at least in Europe, there are 2 available vaccines. And those are very new technologies, but they are not rushed as many people think they are. Just because people don't have heard much about this technology doesn't mean that it wasn't researched at all. The whole technology was researched basically the last 50 years and was just waiting for an opportunity, and COVID-19 is that opportunity where we can use this new amazing technology, and those are the mRNA vaccines and the vector vaccines. And to understand the whole thing, we need to know what is mRNA. The M before RNA stands for messenger. RNA is a genetic code, kind of, but it's more basic than our DNA. Our genetic material is stored, our genetic data is stored in DNA strands. And RNA is a similar thing, but with only one strand. DNA is a double helix. And the mRNA is the messenger that kind of copies certain parts out of the DNA strand to get those information to a different part in the cell where the proteins are produced. Because it would be kind of counterproductive if you would use the whole thing, the whole DNA strand, to take out of the nucleus to produce just one protein. So the mRNA kind of copies the section needed and brings it to the place where it is needed. It is just the delivery system. Our genetic code, the DNA, is a thread-like structure where all of the blueprint of our whole body, of every cell, is stored. In the ribosomes, outside of the nucleus, is the place where proteins are produced. But how do we get the information from the nucleus out to the ribosomes? That is where mRNA comes into play. Because mRNA kind of goes into the nucleus, copies just the certain section of the DNA, brings it to the ribosome, the blueprint of one certain protein needed in that cell, and the ribosome produces this protein then. And that is the job of mRNA. It's a delivery system for certain information. But why do we need another technology for vaccines when the old ones worked perfectly fine? I think that is a question many people ask themselves, or other people. And it's a good question, and I didn't know why that was in the first place also, because it's a very new technology. The virus in the MMR vaccines, measles virus, it took almost 10 years to get the virus weak enough so it can't infect humans in any dangerous way, but strong enough so it triggers an appropriate immune response to get immunity in the first place. So it's not a very efficient way to get a new virus. And in the case of COVID-19, this basically just wasn't an option. We don't have 8 years to wait for a vaccine. mRNA vaccines are basically the shortcut to just avoid all the work and time. The mRNA is used to tell some cells, hey, here's the blueprint of a piece or a protein of the virus. Please reproduce this so the immune system can produce antibodies. And the antigen in those vaccines are pretty straightforward because you don't need any piece or any contact of the real virus. You only need a digital file to download. That's it. In mRNA vaccines, the RNA has to be modified a teeny tiny bit because free-floating RNA is most of the time either a sign of a tumor or of a destroyed infected cell. So it is very important to keep the mRNA untouched by the immune system, because if the immune system destroys the mRNA before it gets into the cell and makes the cell produce those proteins, the vaccine basically wouldn't work. Lipid nanoparticle, or for short LNP, are tiny balls of layered fat with mRNA payload inside. LNP have positive charge and so stick to the negative charged cell membrane. Through endocytosis, the cell will swallow this ball of fat. Once inside, the cell starts deconstruction those LNPs, and the mRNA can deliver the message to produce the antigen. Basically, this vaccine uses your own cell to produce the spike protein of the coronavirus that is exclusively only part of this particular coronavirus. And the cells produce this spike protein, and the immune system recognizes those spike proteins as a strange particle or a strange molecule in the body, and so can produce antibodies themselves. Basically, the vaccine is just a little note, hey, please do this. And the whole other process takes place inside our own cells. And I think that's very interesting. I was kind of amazed while researching for this video, because it's an amazing step humanity has taken in understanding our own bodies. So we can use our own bodies, processes, and mechanics to immunize ourselves, kind of. I think it's pretty cool. And here starts the whole conspiracy theory, because those vaccines are called genetic vaccines. And yes, it has to do with genetics, but it has nothing to do with changing our DNA, because the human body has no enzyme that could change RNA into DNA. There is just none in our bodies. And the change through mRNA in our cells isn't a forever change. It's basically mimicking an infection where our cells would also produce whole viruses, and that could infect us. Those vaccines use the same mechanics or the same technology in our cells, but in a completely safe way. There's just no danger of getting sick, because you have only one teeny tiny part of the RNA that only tells, hey, produce this one protein. There's not enough genetic material to produce a whole virus. There's no way you can get infected with COVID-19 through the vaccine. So, the vector vaccine. This is a little bit different technology or different delivery system for the spike protein into the cell, but it's the same basis as the mRNA vaccines. The vector is in this particular vaccine a chimpanzee adenovirus that has been modified so it cannot replicate in human cells. The adenovirus carries its own genetic material, but this will be replaced with the spike protein genetic material from the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And when you get vaccinated, this vector virus will, like every virus, enter our cell and release the genetic material for the spike protein. And so it also uses the cell's own machinery to produce this spike protein. And because of the spike protein produced by the cell and the viral vector itself, you have two big triggers for the immune system. And that means that the immunity you will have can be actually stronger than without the viral vector. And some can get effectively immunity against the viral vector itself. So if there's at some point any chance that this virus will mutate, you have at least a tiny bit of immunity against this virus also. So there's a pro and contra to everything. And the contra to these viral vectors is if you have an immunity to the vector itself, there is the possibility that your body will fight this vector virus before it can enter the cell and before it can release this genetic material inside of it. But the studies now show that even if you have an immunity to the viral vector, the immunization will still happen inside your cells. And these are the two vaccines we have at the moment in Europe. There are more in approval or in trial, but these are the two biggest ones. And they are very interesting, in my opinion. And it is true that these vaccines were kind of not rushed. Rushed is the wrong word, but it was a little bit fast for many people when you think about the 8 years for the MMR vaccine. But you have to think about that this is a different technology and that there's a huge amount of research playing into this way before COVID-19 ever was a thing. But the research for the mRNA vaccine from BioNTech Pfizer was actually kind of better than many other vaccines because the participants in those studies were way more than on other studies for vaccinations, and also we had all those different stages of the trials, but the research was done simultaneously to kind of speed up the process but maintain the safety this whole empirical research gives us. So you don't have to have any worries regarding this. And I've also heard many people say that there's a kind of conspiracy because scientists said, yes, the more rare side effects we have to wait after approval. And I know that sounds a little bit scary, but that's how it works with every other vaccinations, with any other medications, everything there is in medicine. The last trial is after approval, when those medications hit the market, because you can't have this large test group of 2 million participants because there are some side effects that are so rare that it's basically 1 in a million. And those side effects you can only report after approving it. That's how it works. And I know that sounds scary, but those substances or medications are safe. When they're not safe, they won't get approved. There's so much a vaccination or a medication has to back up to get approved. And this trial after approval is again kind of scary. I can see that, I understand that, and I feel kind of the same way, but that's how it works. That's how it always has been. It's the only difference is now people get more interested in it. And I think it's kind of troubling that people look now into science and think, oh my god, what they're doing, they're just rushing everything. No, that's how it was ever. All of the last 20, 30 years, the research that has to go into a medication, vaccination, whatever, was the same as of now. The only difference is nobody did care before. So before you panic when a scientist says something about the vaccines or the research about the vaccines, just ask someone, ask a scientist, a virologist, a doctor. Hey, is this any different to the ways before? And the people will tell you that no, it's actually the same as always. And yeah, that's it for now, I think. I hope this video could at least a little bit explain to you how those vaccinations work in the body and how the delivery system of the genetic material is, and maybe it could debunk even a little bit this conspiracy theory that those vaccines can change your DNA, because they just can't. They're not designed to. There is, scientifically speaking, no way those vaccines can change your own genetic material. So before I close up the whole video, I again have a little announcement kind of to make. I want to establish a little bit of a schedule, and I will keep my upload on Sunday, which will be in the future Science Sundays, because on Sundays I will keep debunking conspiracy theories, explaining scientific topics you can also ask me to do. And on Wednesday, Thursday, I just want to make a little bit different videos, just the topic of commentary on every topic there is, or on every topic I want to make a video on, and just go in a little bit different direction. But the upload schedule won't be weekly there. I try to stay at every other week, because my keyboard for the one-handed use hasn't arrived yet. It's been, I think, 7 or 8 months, and it's kind of hard for me with the keyboard I have to write scripts, because most of the time my hand hurts, and with just the one-handed use on this big ergonomic keyboard is kind of hard. So it's, yeah, but I try to keep it once a week Science Sundays, and every other week commentary Wednesdays or Thursdays. And when the keyboard arrives, I totally will keep up the 2 uploads a week schedule. I hope you like this idea, because I think it's pretty cool to just change things up a little bit. You know, if you are not interested in those commentary videos, you know, okay, then I will just wait for the next Sunday. So you know what happens, I know what happens, and I hope you guys all like it. I hope you guys did like this video. I had a lot of fun. It was very interesting. And if you have any suggestions for any other videos, science related, debunking related, or commentary related, let me know in the comments or in an email or on my socials. I will link everything down in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I see you in the next one. Bye!